Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be really kind of digging into a story that I think a lot of people are already kind of buzzing about, but we're going to go deeper.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's about Justin Bieber and Diddy, and this question that has everyone wondering, like, could Bieber actually be a key witness in those legal cases against Diddy?
Yeah, it's wild, right?
So to rewind a bit, for anyone who maybe, I don't know, missed the last decade of pop culture, remember when Bieber, like, exploded? Bieber fever? Everyone was
Yeah.
talking about him and Diddy, already a hip-hop mogul at that point, basically, like, takes Bieber under his wing.
Right, right.
And it was all very, lavish parties, collabs, even a Lamborghini, if you can believe it, gifted to a teenage Bieber.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It was like the ultimate insider access kind of mentorship. Everyone thought it was like the golden ticket.
Exactly.
And you're right. That whole thing of the veteran kind of like taking the rookie under their wing, it's practically a tale as old as time and entertainment. But what people often forget is that power imbalance. It can get really murky really fast, and that's what we're seeing play out now in a big way.
Yeah, and that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating. We're not talking about just casual career advice over lunch here. This is Diddy. We're talking about a very deliberately cultivated image, a certain lifestyle. There were whispers even back then of that 48-hour hangout that Diddy was always kind of vague about. And then, of course, you got the whole other layer of a young Bieber at Diddy's notoriously wild parties.
All of that points to just how much influence Diddy had, especially over someone as, let's be real, impressionable as Bieber was at the time. He was just a kid. And this is where I think our deep dive takes that really sharp turn, because in recent years, we've got Diddy getting hit with these incredibly serious accusations. We're talking sexual misconduct, exploitation, the whole 9 yards. And Bieber, crickets. He's been weirdly quiet.
And as conspicuous, isn't it? Especially when you contrast it with how open Bieber's been about other mentors in his life, people like Usher,
Right, it makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes.
Exactly. And before we go any further, we have to make it clear to everyone listening, these allegations against Diddy are not just like tabloid fodder, We're talking serious legal weight here, with potential consequences far beyond someone's reputation or head.
Absolutely, this is the real deal.
And that brings us to the heart of this whole thing, the question we're going to try to answer. Could what Bieber knows, maybe even what he witnessed, actually end up playing a role in these cases?
Yeah, and that's a big question. I mean, we're wading into some pretty heavy speculation here, but yeah, the possibility that Bieber might have some relevant info is definitely what has a lot of people, legal experts included, really, really curious.
Okay, so let's get into it. I mean, it's almost like we're kind of, collectively holding our breath. Like, is Bieber going to say something? And if he does, what does that even mean? What are the consequences here?
Right. I mean, talk about $1 million question, because it takes us straight to those what ifs, the potential fallout that has everyone, and I mean everyone, buzzing. Like, let's just say, hypothetically, Bieber IS called to testify. What could that actually mean for Diddy, for their whole relationship, even for the music industry itself?
Okay, so let's break that down, because this is where it gets really juicy. We have to start with the legal stuff, right?
Yeah.
If Bieber testifies, what does that do for Diddy's case?
Well, legally speaking, if you've got someone like Bieber with his history with Diddy, and he's potentially backing up any part of these accusations, I mean, that's huge EE. It could completely change the game, give more weight to those cases, maybe even directly impact how things are decided. And then, of course, there's a whole other layer of Diddy's career, his whole legacy, what he's built.
It's true. I mean, we have to remember, we're not exactly dealing with just a talented musician here.
Yeah.
This is Diddy. We're talking about someone whose influence goes way beyond just the music. He's like a whole brand, a symbol of a certain kind of success,
Exactly. So any hit to that reputation, it's not staying contained. It ripples out. It impacts not just Diddy himself, but everyone and everything he's connected to. It's a big deal.
And we can't forget about Bieber and all of this. He's not just some innocent bystander here, right? He's got to be thinking about his own image, his own career, the life he's built since those early days with Diddy.
Oh, for sure. And it's a very different image now. You think about it, the party boy thing is long gone. Now it's all about faith, family, a much more thoughtful kind of, introspective artist. Testifying, even if it's the right thing to do, it could easily dredge up a past he's probably worked really hard to get away from.
And that's the dilemma, isn't it? Like, when is it more important to do what you believe is right, even if it costs you something,
Exactly. And that's where we move beyond just the tabloid drama of it all, and we get into those more universal themes. I mean, We might not all be Grammy-winning artists dealing with this level of scrutiny, but I think most people can relate to that struggle, that internal battle between taking the easy way out and doing what, deep down is the right thing, even if it's hard.
It's that question we've all probably asked ourselves at some point, right? If you stay quiet when you know something's wrong, does that make you complicit?
And that's a tough one.
Oh.
There's no easy answer. We all got to grapple with it in our own lives, weighing the potential consequences against our own moral compass. What's the price of staying silent? It's different for everyone.
It's funny you should say that because it makes me think back to something you said earlier about those open secrets. It feels like that's kind of at the core of this whole deep dive, right? It's way bigger than just Bieber and Diddy. It's about that whole culture of letting these things fester in the shadows.
Totally. And it's like a broken record. We've seen this same pattern over and over, and not just in music. Hollywood, politics, even in, the academic world. There's this instinct to protect those in power, to keep things the same, even if it means truth and justice kind of get left behind.
It's like, are we actually ever going to get to a point where those systems change, where it's not all about protecting the powerful?
Well, and that's the thing, isn't it? Because it really does feel like this whole situation with Bieber and Diddy, it's like zoomed out, it's a much bigger conversation. It's not just about celebrities anymore. It's about power, responsibility, having the guts to actually say something when you see something messed up.
And it all comes back to Bieber, doesn't it? Because whether it's deliberate or not, his silence is now a part of that bigger conversation. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. And it's like, what's he going to do? It's going to be fascinating to see how he handles this, right? Because does he keep quiet? Does he protect himself, his own career, all of that? Or does he use his platform, use that voice he's got, to maybe try to change an industry that has, let's be honest, protected a lot of powerful people who maybe didn't deserve it?
It's a lot of pressure, right? Just knowing what he potentially knows, having the power to maybe change not just one guy's life, but maybe how a whole industry works.
For sure. And it shows you, right? Like one person, even if they feel small, they can still make a difference. And yeah, it's easy to look at these systems, these huge institutions, and just feel totally powerless.
Right.
Like, how can you fight that? But the thing is, change usually starts with someone, maybe just one person, saying, nope, not going to be quiet about this anymore.
Yeah.
That's how it starts.
And that's kind of what we keep coming back to, isn't it? That idea that if you don't say something when you see something wrong, are you part of the problem?
And that's a question everyone has to answer for themselves. There's no right answer. But it's a conversation we need to have, on a bigger scale. How do we create a world where people feel safe to actually come forward?
Exactly. It's about time we stop just accepting these things, right? Like, enough is enough.
I'm with you.
Well, on that note, we've reached the end of another deep dive. It's been quite a journey today, right?
For sure.
We've gone from mentorship to, these open secrets everyone seems to know about. And, of course, that big question, can one person, even someone like Justin Bieber, actually spark change? So to everyone listening, we want you to really think about this stuff. What are your experiences? And ask yourself honestly, when is it time to stop being silent? When do you speak up? That's something for everyone to think about. Until next time.